You clock out of the commercial laundry facility at 2 a.m. Your back aches, and you know the $612 sitting in your checking account will barely cover your overdue utility bills, let alone your brother's upcoming college tuition. To make things worse, the owner just pinned a notice to the breakroom board. The business is going bankrupt in exactly 30 days. The natural instinct here is to panic, to pull out your phone on the bus ride home and frantically scroll through job boards. But you've spent years routing money for other people and watching it flow through accounts you'll never own. You understand the plumbing of this system, and you realize that a corporate crisis is actually an unguarded back door into the machine. You take the owner's disorganized books home and spend the weekend applying what you've learned watching other people's transactions. You find that the business still generates cash. It is simply being drained by mismanaged delivery routes, bloated vendor contracts, and wasted materials. The owner has an efficiency problem, not a revenue problem. You walk into his office on Monday and propose a seller-financed buyout. You offer $0 down. In exchange, you agree to assume the company's outstanding debts, allowing the owner to walk away without declaring personal bankruptcy. You use a legal template to draft the agreement yourself. Removing the previous owner successfully transfers the title to you. But the moment the ink dries, the existential burden of fixing that broken system becomes entirely yours. Saving a distressed asset requires leaving sentimentality at the door. You have to rely entirely on rigid process, a phase defined by emotionless execution. You start by analyzing the client roster. You locate the bottom 20% of clients, the ones who demand the majority of your time but consistently pay late, and you fire them immediately. Next, you renegotiate your soap and machinery contracts to stop the internal bleeding. When remaining clients miss an invoice, you skip the angry phone calls and automate cold, process-driven collection notices. To pull this off, you work double shifts. You act as the operations manager, the repair coordinator, and the accountant. You live on rice and lentils, taking a tiny salary and redirecting every single dollar of profit right back into the facility. This split visualization shows how you balance this intense phase. While business cash is locked in a volatile internal loop, you build a separate personal financial floor. You start automatically diverting $600 a month into an index fund, letting time do the heavy lifting. This turnaround phase forces you to strip away your ego. You are actively building a reliable floor of survival, because until that floor exists, true growth cannot occur. As you streamline the operation, those internal efficiencies begin to show outward results. Your delivery trucks stop running late. Your linens arrive spotless every single time. You enter what we call the competence loop. You execute the small, boring jobs so exceptionally well that the larger, established players in your regional market start to pay attention. A massive regional hospital network puts out a request for a new vendor because their corporate provider keeps failing at basic execution. Because your operation is already optimized, you bid on the contract and win it. Securing this one contract shifts your bottom line from survival revenue to hundreds of thousands of dollars in net profit. Scalable success rarely comes from flashy marketing campaigns. It is the inevitable market reward for operational competence exposing the glaring weaknesses of larger competitors. Your operation scales to a $4 million regional facility. At this valuation, the daily manual labor stops. Your focus must shift entirely to financial defense. You enter structural maturation. Protecting this level of new wealth requires building a defensive legal and financial fortress around your assets. Profits flow from operations to purchase the real estate beneath your facility. You become the landlord. You shield this property inside LLCs, placed under a master holding company. Finally, heavy machinery tax depreciation is applied to this holding company, drastically reducing your taxable income. Finally, you must model a family trust. You set up the legal pathways now to ensure that the wealth you've captured will outlive you as the current operator. Generational wealth is not a large bank balance. It is a carefully engineered corporate architecture that actively works to defend your capital. You are now 42 years old. You are a secret multimillionaire with a perfectly optimized system humming in the background. And then, a massive venture-backed national competitor enters your primary territory with $50 million in private equity funding. They deploy a predatory strategy, They are willing to operate at a massive loss for years simply to undercut those hard-won hospital contracts and steal your market share. The cold reality is that the market opens again tomorrow, completely indifferent to your gritty turnaround story, your personal sacrifices, and your defensive structures. Wealth is a moving object that requires constant war. It asks only one question: what is your exact next strategic move to protect the empire tomorrow?